So you want to start selling art and you don't know how to. You don't know where to start. Well, I'm going to tell you. Hi, I'm Josh. I'm an artist, illustrator, animator, caricature artist, all these things. I've sold over 1,500 items on Etsy over the past couple of years. From prints to cups to greetings cards to mouse mats. I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide on how to get started so you can start building your art business. For context, I spent ages procrastinating. Should I invest? Should I buy a printer? What paper do I need? Should I buy an iPad to draw on? Will anyone buy it? Where should I sell my work? A lot of what I'm about to tell you is trial and error. You try something, you learn, you make mistakes, and then you learn from those mistakes, ideally. Hopefully you get better at it, hopefully you get quicker at doing it, and hopefully you sell more. Firstly, you're going to need one of these. That is a printer. I'm going to put that down because it's ridiculously heavy for a printer. You are going to need a printer in some way, shape or form. Like, I'm doing this from a perspective that you don't even need an iPad. You know, people use Procreate to draw on, they use Photoshop to draw on. You can start your business however you feel like you want to start your business. If you just do pen drawings, you know, you do sketches in a sketchbook, that's great, that's fine. That works for you. But you're going to need some form of printer. I needed a printer to be able to print in A3 and A4. The printer I've got, because I don't know off by heart, is the Canon IX6850. I'll put that on screen. Canon IX6850. I've actually had two of these because one of them, and this is part of the discussion, it's a budget printer. It's done me great over the past 2 or 3 years, but it is a budget printer, and you know, things go wrong with printers. 4 or 5 months ago, I had to replace the first one. I didn't want to buy a different one because the printer's fine, it does what I need it to do, but it hasn't got a scanner on it. It hasn't got a copier. What is that? What they're called? Scan and copy, like a scanner. So that is a downside to that. If you're doing artwork with a pen and pencil or in a sketchbook and you need to copy your work, then that printer's probably not the one you need to buy. I've got another one down here that does sublimation prints. That's an Epson. It's kind of on you to do some research in what you think you need. Like, this printer that I showed you that I'm not going to lift back up is massive. Thankfully, it just fits in the corner of my room here, and I've got the space for it. If I didn't have the space for it, it wouldn't be an ideal printer. But then I would probably have to sacrifice the A3 side of it and just buy a smaller printer. You've got to buy a printer, probably. You know, you're going to be printing labels, you're going to be printing invoices, hopefully, if you sell enough, or tax returns or receipts, you know, all these different things that you're probably going to need a printer for. That's kind of on you. It's on your budget. It's how much you are willing to spend. One thing I will say is, if you've got the money and you have saved some money for this, because I do think you need to save some money to start this sort of business. You don't need to save a lot at all, but I think you do need some pot of money, because you are going to have to spend some money to make that back. That is the point. You're going to make the money back, hopefully. Don't be too sort of pressed into buying like a £150 printer or £300 printer, because, you know, if this is something that you love doing, if this is something that you want to spend your time on and devote a load of time on, the idea is that you will make your money back from the printer and then hopefully more. I know it's not as easy as that. £150 to £300, £400, £500, a lot of money to spend in one bulk. I totally get that. I had the same discussions and same thoughts when I bought the printer, but the truth is that there was a demand for my work at the time where the printer thankfully paid itself off, you know, within a few weeks. But that's sort of on you to research what suits your needs and what you will get out of the printer. But that is the printer that I use. Next up, assuming that you've got your printer and you've got your work ready to go, you're going to need somewhere to sell your work. Now, for me personally, if I was starting out again, I would still start on Etsy, a marketplace like Etsy, or somewhere similar where you can basically drop your work in, write a brief description, and Etsy will deal with all of that sort of stuff. Yes, there are hidden fees that they don't tell you about. They say it's free. It is free to an extent. There's a small fee for putting an item on. They take, I don't know if it's 6%, 8% of your sale. The alternative is basically that you have your own website and you are charged every month or every year for this website to host your website and your store. So there are pros and cons to everything. If I'm starting out, I would just go for Etsy. I would start on Etsy and, see if there's a demand for your work, see if people want to buy your work. The good thing about Etsy basically is that your work is with other people's work. Yes, that can mean it's diluted. It's a marketplace. There are other people, other artists, other creators on there who are all selling work. Generally, the people that go on Etsy to buy are looking for things made by small businesses. So for me personally, I would start on Etsy, build your base on Etsy, see if there's a demand there, and then look to progress. I'm still on Etsy. I still sell all my work through Etsy. I am looking at other avenues to sell my work, but there's a lot of work goes into building your own website, building your own store. So for example, I've done no promotion on these cards, this which is like a greetings card, and it is my third best selling item on my store. All of the sales have come through people searching for related items to that card. So if I had my own store on my own website, the chances of those cards selling are very, very slim, I would say, because Etsy has essentially found the people that want to buy similar items to that card, and then obviously they've seen the card and bought the card. So I would start on Etsy. Next up are your materials. Now, personally, I would buy a good card. I wouldn't even take a risk with low quality card. My card that I use is 250 GSM. I don't know what that stands for. Grams, whatever that means. GSM. It's a decent quality card. It's a matte card. Some people prefer to print on gloss. I don't like the texture of gloss. There's something about gloss. Like I can't even touch gloss paper. I do think gloss has its perks with prints, and it's fine. It's just not for me. I just don't like the feeling of gloss paper on my skin. So I use 250 GSM, and I should have really researched what that stands for, but I don't really know. I don't really care. And it's a decent quality card. It's a good quality card. I feel like it's when you open the envelope, it's a good quality card. I could go thicker. I've used 400 GSM before, which is it's not a much thicker card, but it is a better quality card. There's no denying that. You could trial and error. Buy some, test some. What would you be happy paying for? One thing I would suggest doing is putting yourself in the buyer's shoes. If you paid £10, £15, $20, however much it is, for your item, how would you want it to look when you get it through the post? When the postman or postwoman drops your print off at the door and you open that envelope, would you be happy receiving what you're about to send out to someone? And that's what my mindset is all the time. So when I started, I basically put my print in something like this. So it sits in a sleeve. So it was in that, and then I put it in an envelope, an A4 envelope, right? Sits in the envelope and goes off. When I first started, I did this, and I got a couple of messages basically saying that the prints were bent. These prints are potentially traveling hundreds and hundreds of miles if you're selling abroad or selling nationally. They need some form of stability. So although it's costly, I do put a bit of card behind the print. So basically, if it gets damaged, then it's sort of out of my hands at this point. I've done everything I can within cost. Bear in mind that the envelope's hard backed as well. Like if that bends, then it's kind of not my fault, and we'll deal with it as it is. But I know that whenever I sell my prints or whenever I post my prints, that I've done everything I can my side to make sure that the prints don't get damaged. I think that's an important thing as someone selling your work. You've got to make sure that you've done everything your side to make sure that your prints, your artwork, gets to the person who's bought it. The people who've bought your work have put trust in you to send your work to them and it get to them. And that's the top and bottom of it. You do whatever's in your budget. If you can't budget the extra cardboard sleeve, then that's the risk you take. That's you're maybe happy taking those risks. You maybe think, I'll take the risk of maybe one or two getting damaged along the way, and I'll deal with that if it comes to it. But all I will say is that receiving bad feedback stings. So it's up to you to consider what you think is within your budget and how much risk you want to take when it comes to sending work. Next up and final point is customer service and marketing. You will sell more if you promote your work. In some aspects of my life, I love promoting my work. I love talking about my work. In other aspects, I don't promote it at all. I don't like sort of selling my product. Could I have sold more prints? Yes, probably. If I'd shared more work, if I'd put more work on Etsy, if I'd promoted it more, I could probably have sold more work. But there's an element of me that's like, I don't like doing this. I don't like getting in people's faces to sell my work. I don't like being an annoyance online. But you do sell more when you promote your work. If you've got a social media platform, if you've got email marketing, a website, all these things help sell your work. And with that comes customer service, where people will message you, ask them where the thing is, ask them where their order is. Amazon has affected the way people, myself included, are around postage and how quickly they get the things that they've ordered. The vast majority of people are understanding that you are a sole person running your business, that things take time, packaging takes time, posting takes time. The vast majority of people are understanding, but then that's on you to sort of price that and take that into consideration, that people can pay for a better delivery service if they want the item quicker. You can only work as quick as you can. My advice would be to be open with the person. Let them know when you've posted the product. Suggest that they pay for tracking. Update your Etsy orders. Drop them a message and ask if they've received your print or your artwork maybe a week down the line, just to make sure it's there. This is a product that you're selling. They've got a responsibility as the seller to make sure that the thing that you're selling is packaged up properly and it's posted. And if you don't do those things, then the buyer does have grounds to basically say that you're not very good, or that the service that you provided isn't very good, or if they've messaged you and you haven't messaged them back or updated them on their order, then that's the risk you take. So customer service is a vital part of it. I think that'll do. I'm going to do a separate video on greetings cards, because greetings cards are an interesting thing that I've only recently started selling, and I think it would be an interesting video for people who may be starting out on greetings cards and how to go about it. Thank you for watching. Any tips, any questions, please do let me know in the comments below. I could have done with some help when I started, so I'm doing this from a place of love and a place of helpfulness. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe for more videos like this. See you in the next video. Goodbye.